hours. That's how long it takes to get every single one of my Last Epoch characters from level 1 to empower Monolith. And no, I am by no stretch of the imagination a speedrunner, but man, I got sick and tired of spending entire evenings dragging my alt characters through the same campaign just to get to the part of the game that actually matters to me. So I broke down the alt leveling process down to 3 things: the gear you stash before your run, the route you take that skips over half of the campaign, and the efficient XP gain tricks that you are not using enough of. Now most guys are only going to talk about one of these things, so let's fix that. Starting with your gear. Your alt character run is decided well before you even pick your class. Everything I'm about to put in your stash works on every single class in the game, and the reason is simple. Damage over time is absolutely busted in the campaign, as some of you already know. So the entire twin setup is built around one thing: the Spreading Flames ailment applied through a Firestarter's torch. And Spreading Flames doesn't care if you're a Sentinel, a Rogue, a Primalist, a Mage, or even an Acolyte, my brother. It just burns everything on sight. Now the stash itself. This is where you prepare all the gear on your main character before you even create your alt. I will leave a planner in the description so you can check out the full suite, but here are the important ones that carry the whole twin setup. Firestarter's torch goes in your main hand, and that's what makes everything ignite. It's fairly easy to get one with multiple legendary potential, so you can slam any of the desired affixes on the screen on it. In the offhand, we have a Vial of Volatile Ice. And yeah, this looks like an odd pick at first, but we don't really care about what rolls on the unique itself. What makes this thing interesting is how easy and cheap it is to get high legendary potential rolls on it. I had one with 4 LP, which means I could pretty much slam an entire offhand catalyst onto it, and that's exactly what I did. Another item worth pointing out is the Flight of the Quetzeri boots. This thing gives you an entire extra charge of evade, and whenever you evade, you gain haste. These boots will have you zooming through the campaign on top of your traversal skills, man. Oh, and did I mention it also works in town where you can't normally use your traversal skills to go any faster? Yep, it's hard to use anything else after you put these boots on. I actually got so addicted to using them that I always feel like I'm betraying myself when it's time to put on my endgame gear. The rest of the gear in your stash is built around elemental damage and damage over time for offense, then ward, health, and resistances for defense. Now here are a couple of things that will break your run if you miss them. First, you have to join the same guild as your main character. The guild you pick doesn't really matter for leveling though, but if you haven't joined one as soon as you enter the first town, your stashed gear is locked until you do so. Second, you cannot equip everything on the planner at level 1, but fear not, my brother. You have way more than enough damage to carry you through the early levels as long as you put the early pieces on. And finally, the class you pick for leveling doesn't matter either. But then the question becomes, how the hell am I supposed to know which skills and passives to use, eh? Well, simple. Firestarter's torch is already doing all the damage work for you. So your skills are simply the delivery vehicle, and anything that triggers Spreading Flames on hit is all you need. This means that any of the early level skills on the screen right now will carry you well into the endgame. Now if you're a beginner and don't know which skills and passives mesh together, check out any of the leveling written guides on Maxroll. I'm going to link those in the description as well. So grab one, pop it on the second screen, slap your twin gear on, and you are off to the races, dude. So your stash is locked in. Now let's talk about the navigation route that will save hours off your run. The Last Epoch campaign looks mandatory by design, looks, and feel, but it actually is not. See, there are dungeon skips, and a Monolith entry point stitched into the campaign that ESG specifically built so you don't have to run everything from start to finish on your alts. So here is the route I actually use. In chapters 1 and 2, you just play like you normally would. They are short, they are dense in XP, and the whole skip infrastructure doesn't kick in until chapter 3. And once you are in chapter 3, look for the Lightless Arbor dungeon at the Shrouded Ridge. Now you can either run the dungeon as normal, but you are here for the speedy strat, are you not? So by now you should have a bunch of portal keys sitting in your inventory. Pop one of those which will take you directly to the boss room and skips the entire dungeon. All you gotta do from this point is whoop that ass, take the exit portal, and you land directly in chapter 4 at the Risen Lake. From here, continue until you unlock the Dreadnought and wash up on the beach in chapter 5. Head over to pick up the Sapphire Tablet quest and complete it, which is going to unlock the Temporal Sanctum dungeon. Now the lowest level requirement for this dungeon is 55, but if you are experienced with the boss fight, you can actually get this done as early as level 40. and the Sapphire Tablet quest itself is going to hand you a Temporal Sanctum key in case you don't have one. So go whoop this other ass, take the exit, and this carries you from chapter 5 all the way into chapter 9. Oh, and in case you're struggling with this boss fight cause you are too underleveled, one thing I personally like to do is travel to the Monolith of Fate using this waypoint, and you instantly get a massive chunk of XP from previously completed timeline quests on your main character. This by itself can boost you up by at least 4 levels, give you some passive points, and even level up your skills along the way. Now, if you're already familiar with the dungeon skips, you might be rushing to the comment section at this moment to tell me all about how I didn't cover the Soulfire Bastion skip. But hold up a minute. Yes, technically, there is a third dungeon in the skip chain that lets you jump from chapter 4 to 7. And yeah, it works. However, Temporal Sanctum is not that much further away from Soulfire, and it's already skipping you straight to chapter 9. In other words, Soulfire only gets you halfway there. So the correct move is to skip Soulfire entirely and go straight from the Lightless Arbor skip to the Temporal Sanctum. The fastest route always wins, chief. And if you're feeling extra frisky or don't even want to bother with the rest of the campaign at all, there is an alternate option. See, around level 20, which is when you can reach the end of time, you can queue directly into the Monolith from there. The game is not going to pop a tutorial about it, there is no glowing arrow for it, and some players don't discover this until they're on their 5th character. So you can simply go straight into the Monolith from here and start blasting. However, just because you can do this doesn't mean you should. You are going to be massively underleveled, and it's going to be rough, man. I ain't gonna lie. But if you're feeling confident in your gear setup, hey, don't mind me. You do you, bruh. Just keep in mind that no matter what path you take, there are 2 things you absolutely cannot skip: the 8 idle slots and 15 free passive points you get through the campaign. These are permanent power, and whatever build you're planning to play in the endgame is going to be miles behind without them. The good news is that dungeon skips actually grant both of those as completion rewards. So if you're already running the dungeon skip route as you should, you are pretty much picking up those for free. Then if you're still missing a few idle slots and passive points, which you can check by opening your map by the way, head over to this checklist I'll be dropping in the description, where you can pick any quest that grant both rewards, like the Desert Treasure quest here for example. And once you have all your idols and passives, you are all done. You can go straight into the endgame from here and unlock Empower Monoliths to start pushing corruption. No need to finish the campaign, man. I never do. But skipping the campaign only gets you halfway through your art leveling journey. You still need to get to level 80 where you can equip all your endgame gear for most builds. So how you efficiently gain XP changes completely from here on out. This is the part that took me way too long to figure out. I used to run monoliths on my alts the same way I ran the campaign, killing everything, full clearing zones, treating every mob like they owed me XP, and the whole time, I was actively slowing myself down by quite a bit. Because here's the thing, your XP bonus from higher level enemies caps at 10 levels above you, so the moment a zone is more than 10 levels above your character level, the game treats the gap as if you are only 10. You don't earn a single extra point of XP above the ceiling, bro. In the campaign, you actually don't even notice this because you're always within a handful of levels of whatever zone you're walking into. That's why when you're on a twin setup like this with enough damage, you can simply run past most things in the campaign and only kill when they are grouped up. Same thing applies to the Monolith because the normal timelines each have an area level, and that level doesn't necessarily make things harder, but it caps how much experience you get and should help you decide which timeline you should pick to efficiently farm XP. For instance, if you just finished the campaign using this setup and your character is around level 60, going to a level 78 timeline to level up is not going to give you much more XP than a level 70 zone. You are actually going to be gaining XP in that level 78 zone as if you were in a level 70 zone. The priority order when you decide to engage enemies also matters. You always want to go for rares first, magic enemies second, and trash mobs only when they are literally already in your path and grouped up. Now the very first thing you should absolutely do when you hit monoliths, like before you push corruption, before you optimize your echo path, or before anything else, is kill the Abomination boss. This is the first timeline boss in the Fall of the Outcast that gives you the XP gain blessing off the reward screen. This is the single biggest XP multiplier available to you at this stage of the game, and every single art should be locking this in first. If you already unlocked this on your main character, simply kill the Abomination and go back to the end of time where you can respect your blessings. You will of course be getting the lowest value of this blessing, but you can keep farming the abomination until you get close to 10%. Most of the time though, you don't really have to bother doing this unless you're trying to min-max. And then there's a level most players don't touch until it's way too late. Corruption directly scales both monster level and the XP you gain from killing them. So if you're taking your sweet time in normal timelines, instead of pushing into empowered ones, you are leaving XP on the table every single echo you run. You already have Spreading Flames nuking everything, my boy. So the moment your defenses hold, beat one of the level 90 timelines, dive into empowered Monolith, and start farming. This brings us to where everything you just learned pays off. And this is also the part where most players who already have the XP blessing and the corruption are still leaving half of their XP on the floor without realizing it. Most players treat Monolith echoes like a randomly generated cobweb, but you actually have the ability to engineer your own web, my brother. Think about it like you're building a map on top of the map. And the single biggest XP strategy in the entire Monolith phase is a combo that most people who know about it can still run backwards. So here's the correct sequence of events once you reach the Monolith. Your first goal is to find the Cemetery of the Erased. Running this echo unlocks the Woven faction, and you can either do this before unlocking Empowered Monoliths, but just keep in mind the strategy I'm about to explain yields better results in Empowered timelines. Now open your inventory, go to the Woven Echoes tab, and you should have a few of these Lostwood Folly and False Temple Echoes lying around. If you don't have any, go to the Heaven of Silk and talk to Bask to buy a few of those. Just remember that you need to do this before entering the cemetery, otherwise your current cemetery echo will be considered complete and you will have to find another one. Once you know you have at least one Lostwood Folly and a bunch of False Temple Echoes in your pocket, run the Cemetery of the Erased, and at the end of it, you're going to find this turtle looking thing called the Altar of the Weaver. This is where you can place the echoes you have in your inventory and build your own map. Now here is where the order of operations matter. You want to place the Lost Folly echo first, then surround it with False Temple echoes. The reason why we do this is because completing Lost Folly buffs any of the surrounding echoes with woven packs. Translation: crazy mob density in surrounding echoes. The False Temple echoes themselves are all about grabbing shrines until the boss show up, so this is where you do have to kill everything on the map for crazy XP. Oh, and those shrines you grab while running around, some of them can be XP shrines which double dips into everything else you already have going. Now a lesser known trick that I learned from Pixel Aptitude is that you can actually configure the Weaver tree itself to force the game to pay you back in XP. Here's how that works. You go to the Weaver tree, you block glyph rewards, you block rune rewards, you block arena keys, you block gold, you block pretty much everything on this side of the tree except XP tomes. And now, every single reward the game was going to hand to you condenses down into XP tomes whenever you discover or run an echo. You are no longer rolling the reward slot machine, my guy. You are literally forcing the slot machine to only print the one jackpot you care about. Then while you sit on the Weaver tree, go ahead and grab Enthralling Bounty, which gives your echoes a 20% chance to double your rewards. Do you even know how strong this is when you're talking about XP tomes? Well, go ahead and give it a shot, then come back and tell me all about it. This is the kind of stacking that doesn't feel like you're cheating until you check your XP bar and realize you jumped 2 levels in the single echo. So if right now while I'm talking to you, you got any glyph, rune, arena key, or gold reward still enabled in your Weaver tree, that is exactly why your XP per echo has been feeling flat. So fix that before your next session, chief. That's pretty much the full stack. And here's what we learned today. Your stash gear is making you immortal and overpowered from level 1. The dungeon skips in the campaign cut a 6-hour grind down to a couple of hours, and you unlock access to an echo layout strategy that farms XP for you like it's working a second job. Then with all these 3 things running at the same time, that is your 2-hour out leveling experience. And there it is. You didn't need a whole evening to do this, my brother. You didn't need a guide holding your hand through every quest node, and you definitely did not need to be a better player. You just needed a stash full of stuff that works on every class, a route that skips over half of the campaign, and an echo layer that farms XP like it's working overtime. So here's what I want you to try. Build your alt leveling stash, run the skips, configure the echo farm, and the next time you create an alt, put a timer on. Screenshot your time the moment you hit Empowered Monolith, and drop your time in the comments. Beat 2 hours, and I will pin the fastest time in the video comments. If this guide saved you an evening, or 5, hit that subscribe button for more bangers like this. Also, while you're down there, consider hitting that join button to help me make more videos like this. Now either stick around to watch one of the sickest build guides that will help you crush the endgame this season, or go delete the campaign on your next alt. And until I see you in the Monolith, stay stylish, stay untouchable.
礼を言う。